Welcome to Donnie Jones Live. I am certified arborist, Donnie the Tree Lady. And you know, every week we're trying to bring you a great show that's going to inspire people, make a difference, and bring people to you that maybe you don't know yet, but you should know. And of course, today is no different. On the show today, we have a gentleman that is a real estate entrepreneur. He's got some great things coming up. But when I heard his story, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to take a minute and interview this man, because I just think what he's doing is wonderful, because it's about empowering people. It's about helping build wealth. But I'm going to let him tell his story. But I'm talking about none other than Ramon Tukes.
Well, good morning, or good afternoon now.
Good afternoon, right?
It's afternoon now. Thank you for having me on here.
Well, thank you for being on here.
I love the introduction and the energy.
Well, thank you. I'm like this pretty much 24/7.
Are you?
Yeah, it gets old after a while, though. I'm telling you. Just ask my family. They start rolling their eyes and they're like, okay, Mom.
She got the energy.
Yeah. Or if my energy is different, they know that something's wrong. Or I'm not happy about something.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, I'm a real estate entrepreneur, and
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of people want to know what is a real estate entrepreneur.
They do.
We've done a lot of things in the real estate world, investing, developing, and also training.
Yes.
So training and educating. And so
Okay.
it's hard to put it into one box.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I do want to talk about the training and education, but a lot of times when we bring people on the show, we want to kind of humanize them, because when people see someone like you that's successful, that's got, you know, videos out talking about real estate, and you've had been in TEDx. When people see people like that, they don't think it's obtainable. So can you give us a little bit of your backstory? Like, you know, tell us who you are,
So
Ramon.
born and raised right here in Atlanta.
ATL.
ATL all the way. And so West Side, East Side, we grew up in town, went to high school here, stayed here and went to college, went to Georgia State and Emory. And, you know, when I was in college, you know, my dad pushed us to do something different. All of our lives, he's always said, go be an entrepreneur. Don't
Now,
get a
so
job.
your dad was an entrepreneur also?
Yes, he was.
Yes.
And so I started at my second year at Georgia State in the real estate world.
Okay.
And I started off just looking for properties for other investors.
Mm-hmm.
And it grew. I was 19 then. This is year 24. You know, we just started out $500 here, $200 there.
Hey, that adds up, though,
It
doesn't
really does. It really does. And we were hungry. So, you know, if you give a 19-year-old $500 and he made it in an hour,
Yeah.
he feels like he can do it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And so.
And there's not a lot of people at 19 making $500 in an hour.
Correct.
Okay, legally making $500. So you were doing it legally.
Doing it legally.
Okay.
And it just it grew from there.
Yeah.
It was no different. My goal in life was to be an attorney.
Yeah.
And so I stayed in school, finished Georgia State with a criminal justice degree, went to
Wow.
Emory and obtained my law degree, and then just never used the law degree because I was bitten by the real estate
Wait a
bug.
minute. So you're an attorney and you're a real estate investor.
Yeah, but I love real estate.
Okay.
I love
Okay.
it. If you look at my social media, it says I live it, eat it, sleep it, breathe it.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're here. But I think it's kind of interesting that you bring up the fact that you were an attorney, because a lot of times people think that if they don't practice what they went to school for, that they've wasted time or they've wasted money. Did you feel like that about your degree,
No.
or do you use? Go ahead.
So I don't use it, but what I learned while I was in school helped a lot. The connections that I learned, the network is amazing. And you know, at 22, 23, I still had that feeling, but I knew that once I went through that golden era of real estate early on, I couldn't stop doing what I was doing. And so it just said no.
Well, you mentioned something about the golden era of real estate. I do want to go back to your story a little bit, but I know real estate in Atlanta right now is hot. Okay, it's the place to be. In fact, I'm looking at, you know, doing some own things on my own self, real estate. But you talk about the golden age of real estate. Do you feel like that is past, or do you think it's coming back? Or can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the market right now?
So in my opinion, we went through, I started in 96.
Yeah.
And so up until
That's when I
2000.
went to the ATL.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's a good time.
Yeah, it was.
So about 11
Yeah, it
years straight, I call that a golden era.
Yeah.
We couldn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everybody knows what happened in 07, 08, 09. But it happens.
That's when I lost
every
everything,
10 to
y'all.
15 years. I mean, everybody did. Most people did. But it happens every 10 to 15 years. Something's going to happen. We don't know when. We don't know where. You just got to prepare differently.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now we're still in a really, really good window of opportunity,
Right.
because interest rates are still low. There's still a lot of people moving, especially in Atlanta, moving to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
We got the world's greatest airport. So many things are coming here. It's almost, I don't want to say impossible, but
Right.
it's tough to see anything bad happening like it did 10 years ago.
Okay. Do you think that's because of the market, or do you think there's been provisions put in place to make sure something like that doesn't happen?
It's a little bit of both, but
Okay.
there's always something that can happen because the powers that be kind of control what happens in that market.
Are we going to talk about those powers that be right now?
No, we're not going to talk about those powers that be on the radio.
But not on the air anyway, right?
It's always something,
Yeah.
whether it be too many people overspending,
Yeah.
whether it be Wall Street, they invested differently as opposed to last time back in the mortgages.
Right.
This time they bought the properties.
Right.
So it's a little bit different.
Well, my question is always when I see somebody like you that's as accomplished in real estate, what do you say to the person that doesn't feel like they want to get into real estate, but they don't know where to start? Like I've got a friend of mine, she's always wanted to get into real estate, and she went out and got a real estate license, but now she's not really using it as much as, as she could have. So what if you're somebody that hears, hey man, the way to build wealth in America is you've got to buy real estate, you got to get into real estate, you got to become an investor. Which avenue should you take? Should a person become a real estate agent? Should they become an investor? What's the best route?
So there is no such thing as a best route. One, I always encourage everyone to become a homeowner.
Okay.
Whether it be you buy a single family or you buy a multifamily, live in one side, rent out the other side. But you really have to get going, take some kind of action.
Yeah.
And just figure it out, because you may feel like you want to be a real estate.
Right.
Everybody wants to be a real estate agent right now because the market
the market is hot.
But when the market changes, then people start doing other stuff. And so you can always be an investor, but you can be an investor and an agent. You can be an investor and work a traditional job. Just whatever it takes. So I'm going to say start off as an investor.
Okay.
But that investment may be your home. It may be a first time home.
Okay. Now, what do you say? Because I listen to a lot of motivational people. I love a lot of real estate people. And, one of my boys is Grant Cardone. And I'm sure I love Grant.
Awesome man.
And he said that there's people out there right now buying their primary home when they should just kind of chill for a minute on that and invest in real estate. What do you think about that ideology? And keep in mind, mine is worth $100 million. I'm just
I disagree with that.
Okay.
You should always be looking for because your primary home has so many write-offs.
Right.
And it's less stress. If you go out and buy that first investment property and it doesn't go right, then you don't have anywhere to go a lot of the times. If you buy it as a investment, knowing that I'm going to live in it for a year or two, move up, rent out some rooms, do some Airbnb, you have so many options because you got to pay for somewhere to live anyway. So I would prefer to start that way. Okay. And if I was telling a kid or somebody or anybody, but start off, buy something that you can live in and maybe rent out a room. Buy something smaller. Don't start with the $500,000 condo. Like that doesn't really work out for most people. I mean, if you have the money, go ahead. But there's some opportunities around the country where you can buy smaller multi-units. We don't have a lot here in Atlanta. They just didn't build a lot. Like multifamily, we don't have a lot.
But okay, now my question about that is I'm seeing a lot of multi-unit, like those live, work, play areas
They're
that are
building a
popping
lot,
up
but
right
those
now.
are expensive. And when I say affordable, think about you just came out of college and those people come out of college making 60, 70 grand.
Right.
You can't stay there. They're $390, $450.
Yeah.
We need something around that 100 to 150 number.
Right.
So I can rent out rooms or rent out an entire side and, for $800 a month. And then I'm free. I can breathe a little bit.
Okay.
Because that's what happens with a lot of people. They overextend themselves too early and then they're stressed.
Now, how did you transition? Because you said when you got out of college, you realized that your passion was real estate. How did you go from there? Because I'm always trying to get into people's story. And in the next segment, I do want to talk about something that you've got coming up. But how did you say, okay, this is not what I want to do? I don't want to be an attorney. I'm going to stick with investing.
We was making so much money.
Okay.
It was 03 when I was coming out of Emory.
Yeah.
And it was really, really a really good time at that time. And so I saw my friends starting out, even the ones that were like A+ students being recruited by the best law firms. They were starting off like at 100.
Yeah, and you were like, I'm already doing it.
Yeah, that wasn't going to work.
That wasn't good.
It helped me make my decision, but I knew every day the joy that I got up and as I, invested in properties, as I collected rents, even during the bad times from 09 to, I'm going to say 13, we figured out how to make it work.
Okay, so you never went through that. Like for me, I used to own some real estate and, like investment properties. And I made the mistake of being my own landlord And so I'm out there trying to collect rent, and the economy's crazy, and I'm buying people's excuses. They're like, "Oh, well, Miss Donnie, I can't afford to pay my rent." So I'd be like, "Okay," I'd feel bad. I had a hard time putting people out. So when you're starting, what do you tell people about being a landlord? Or
Get a property manager.
Okay.
Because, I've been in that situation where it's hard. You see kids, it's hard to put them out.
Yeah.
Right? But here's what you have to do.
Right.
I have to say that kid has to go, or she has to go, or my other kids. And it makes it so much easier for me.
So it's between your kids and their kids. I'm going to pick my kids all day, every
single
day.
time. But the way to put that wall up is get a property manager.
Okay.
It's a system. Pay on the 1st, late on the 5th, file eviction on the 10th.
So do you also run a property management company?
No, I hire outside property managers.
Okay.
Yeah. I still do some myself. We still do some in-house.
Okay, for your properties or for other people's
For our
property?
properties, yes.
Okay. Well, before we go to the next segment, what's one thing somebody could do right now to get their foot wet in real estate?
There's a lot of free events around town, RIAs. We do several free events. We have things for lunch. We have some things going on every single week. It's just free. We have a late night show that we do, and it just start understanding what it is. Yep.
How can people find you real quick? And we are talking to Ramon Tukes.
Yes.
And how do we find you real quick?
So I'm Ramon Tukes on every social media.
Okay.
It's easy. Facebook,
that's easy.
Instagram. It is. It's RamonTookes.
I hear you. Well, I'm Donnie Jones Live. I'm here with Ramon Tukes. We're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. And we are back. I am Donnie the Tree Lady, and we are here with Ramon Tukes, and he is a real estate entrepreneur. And we were talking about basically him being in real estate and things that you can do to get into real estate yourself. In fact, you've got an event coming up. Talk to us about that.
So July 12th through 14th, we have our signature boot camp, which is called Flipology. And Flipology is the science of flipping real estate.
Okay.
I always tell people it is, and not because it's our event, but it's one of the best 3-day events in the country.
Okay.
We have attended lots of them, and what happened is over the past 10 years, we saw things that those events did not have.
Okay.
And so we included it. And each time, and we do it here in Atlanta 3 times a year, March, July, and November. Each time we add something a little bit more. So when we first started, we got in trouble because we do a bus tour. And
why did you get in trouble for a bus tour?
So our mentors and the people that were guiding us in this process said, everybody else that does it, that's when you pay $1,000 to $1,500 to $3,000.
Right.
And so we started out at a price point that was much too low, and we've learned. We've learned.
Yeah.
Right now we are, I believe it's $397 right now.
Okay.
But there's a bus tour, and we go out and take a look at properties that we're currently working on, so you can see the different phases. We feed everybody a few times, and that stuff in those hotel ballrooms.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been to a couple of, more than a couple of them.
Okay.
And the thing is, I came from a network marketing background, so even though this is different, what happened the first time I went to an event, I saw something online. I think it was on Facebook or something like. Oh, this is even before Facebook. Somebody gave me a flyer. And they know as an entrepreneur, I'm always trying to expand my horizons, but still stay true to what I do, which is tree care or either speaking like what I do right now. And so I go to this room, and the first thing I notice is that is real rah-rah. And I'm like, okay, this does not feel like what I was expecting. But you kind of get caught up in the emotion of everything, and they're telling you all these things that you're going to learn. Mm-hmm. And then you finally get settled down. The room has a nice little buzz to it. And then the guy gets up on stage, and he's like, who wants to make money and who wants to be rich? And he goes through the things that you're supposed to learn. But in order to learn the really good stuff, you got to pay $1,000 for the next event that's coming in 3 months. Now, you don't do that to people, do you?
So not at that event. But let me say this. Those
I didn't make
guys,
my guests mad, did I?
No. Those guys are really good. So any of those programs that you see on TV, they all have something that you can learn from. And you got to pay to educate yourself.
Absolutely.
You got to invest in yourself. I always tell people, whether or not you invest in that program or this program, you got to do that. But the main thing is, no matter how much you learn, no matter how much knowledge, you just got to go out and take some action.
Right. That's true.
I don't care if it's my program, if it's somebody else's program, because everybody doesn't fit.
Right.
Your personality may not fit mine. So what I'm doing after the boot camp we may not need to work together.
But I think what you said, you do have to invest in yourself. Yes. Like the thing that surprised me is when I have been to those events, how many people would be in the audience thinking they shouldn't have to pay anything.
Right.
Like I have to admit, I did get some good information, but nobody's going to teach you everything that they've got in their head.
They can't.
Yeah, they can't.
Anyway,
nobody can do that. So I agree with you, but I just like for people to be transparent about that, because I think when people are looking at real estate, they know. They're not stupid. They know I've got to learn. If I don't know how to do it, they don't know.
They don't know.
Really?
Unfortunately. There's so over the past probably 10 years, you've seen all the things that say no money down, no credit. And that's a very good strategy. Okay. So people only want to hear that because it sounds exciting. I don't have to put anything in it, but I can make $1 million, right? You should think and know I got to put something in it. It may not be my own money,
right?
But the learning time, the time to work the business, there's so many other things that goes behind that.
Right.
But a lot of people just feel like they don't have to do it.
Now tell us about your event again. I know you said it's called Flipology.
Flipology.
When is it again? Because that's one of the reasons why I wanted you here, because I heard about that and I'm like, he's different. He's got his stuff is going to be good. So y'all, I want you to check out his event, because even though we have people on the show that can be entertaining, that can be, inspiring, my goal is not just to inspire you, but to inspire you to take action. I'm blessed to be in an industry that I love, which is the tree care industry. Multi-million-dollar industry, great, 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 love it. I love speaking and stuff like that, but not everybody can speak. There's a lot of people out there that may have the time or can make the time to become successful in real estate. And it's also a great way to pass on generational wealth.
Number one.
And I want you to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But tell us again about your event and how it is different. And you guys need to check it out.
So July 12th through 14th, we bring in a bunch of different speakers.
Yeah.
Talking about tax incentives, how to structure your business, where you get funding from, how do you estimate repairs, which is something that I speak on a lot. I was speaking last night about how you estimate repairs, because it's the biggest fear in this business. Everybody that gets into it, I can tell you this, there's a ton of money in the market. Okay. There are a ton of deals out there, right? But people always say, I heard somebody lost their shirt fixing. I heard a contractor ran off. So I hone in on teaching you how to protect yourself.
Okay.
We can't prevent everything. Things happen, but how to estimate repairs, I can teach a 4-year-old almost how. If you can count, I can teach you how to estimate repairs.
Teach my daughter how to.
Yeah, for sure. We can teach her.
Love it.
We have real estate agents that talk about the importance of having a real estate professional on your team. We also bring in attorneys, stagers, the whole nine. So our goal is when you leave that weekend, you understand the process.
Right.
You really understand. Here are your resources. It's not one person standing in front of the room. Right. It's not about me, Ramon. It's about you understanding what that process is. Can I touch that lender?
Right.
Can I call that attorney? Can I call that accountant? So you're not waiting on us. You can. But
do people get a chance to work with the people or the organizations that will be speaking from the stage? Because a lot of times you'll see they have all these great people on the stage, but then when you come off the stage and you're ready to do a deal, where are they? So talk to me about
the people that we bring are local people that we use.
Oh, great.
And so it's rare. We bring in a couple of people from one guy from Vegas, but he does business funding, business credit. So he's available at all times. But I do believe in bringing in the local folks because I can reach out and touch them. I can go to their office as opposed to people that I can't find, like you said, once the event leaves.
Well, I also have another question, and this just kind of popped in my head because you had mentioned agents. How has this whole thing with the internet changed your industry as far as people feeling they don't necessarily need an agent, or they can go to an agent that charges a flat fee and just do everything, themselves, or with just a little bit of internet support? What do you think about that?
The right agent, when you know you have them on your team, you need them.
Okay.
Right. And that person, like my agents, help manage construction jobs. They protect us at all costs. They bring buyers. Agents are still really, really important. Okay. Those people that want to do for sale by owner stuff, they never really win, especially if you're going to do this as a business. You need somebody that's going to truly be on your team, and real estate agents and professionals are always going to be necessary.
But what about that guy that's got the app now? It's like something HomePad or something.
There's a few of them. There's a few of them. It's still,
Does that affect your business at all?
Not at all. No, it's so many opportunities out here. There's always going to be something new that comes to the market, and so you have to not really make adjustments for that because it's things that they do that we do that they could never do.
Right.
We find deals on a ground level, and they still need that.
Okay.
So agents that bring us deals, agents are going to be out there with their ear to the in the streets,
right?
So they understand. Listen, we got this deal,
right?
That those online platforms never really get to see those deals unless we.
And
take
you guys
it
need to hear this kind of stuff because so many things sound good on TV, so many things sound good on Facebook, but this man actually has behind the scenes knowledge of what goes on with these deals. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited to have Mr. Ramon Tukes here. Now, I always like to get into people's why, because you could just keep all this knowledge to yourself. You're obviously successful at what you do. Why was it important for you to start doing these workshops, to talk about other people investing in real estate, and also talking about generational wealth?
So, when we first started, there was a lack of information, I believe, in the African-American community. And so we started out doing, this was probably 14. Yeah. We're just teaching people, meet us at Pascal's, and we just sit down and talk, meet us at a hotel. So, and then we were told we should brand it. And for me, they understood that it was going to be tough to get me to stand on the stage. I was like sweating, like I would have towels, like wringing them out. Right?
I saw you say that in your TEDx, and you seem so comfortable right now. I'm like,
nope, no. Every time. Have you ever seen Any Given Sunday with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
So before he went on the field, he would like throw up in the can.
Yeah.
So I would be that nervous. It's getting better, maybe a little bit.
Well, you seem pretty confident right now.
I know the business. Okay. I love it, but standing out there is still always the same thing. But about 5 years ago, because this is year 5, we began to brand it. Yeah. And so again, it started off, we wanted to make sure that the community had what it needed, right? Yes. And then young folks, it's a lot of young folks that come out of college in so much debt. We go get that 4-year degree or we go get whatever it is. And then, so we teach folks like how to, at a young age, just invest in something small.
Yes, absolutely.
It don't have to be in Atlanta. You can go to Macon, Georgia, and buy a house for $10,000 and get $500 a month. Well, by the time you finish college, the house is paid for. You got your money back.
That's
Even if you use your student loan money to go, and there's people that do it. Go invest in real estate.
I've heard people do that. I've heard people do that.
It's an awesome strategy because at some point, it takes people forever to repay their money. Like they're 50 years old and they're just paying off their student loan debt.
Hello.
And so that is something that hurts a lot of people throughout their entire lives.
Right.
We fight that battle. And so making sure we inform the community, but also making sure we change the people that will listen. Gotcha. And that whether young people will listen a little bit more than.
And I hear young people listen. I want to see young people actually take action too.
They're taking action. They are.
That's because of you. That's a good thing. Yes. But guys, once again, we're here talking to Ramon Tukes. I was playing with him. I was like, should I throw that? Ramon Tukes. He's a real estate entrepreneur, an investor. And once again, how do we get in contact with you?
So everything is Ramon Tukes. Shoot us messages. Everything is. We were lucky enough to have a name that was not just common. And so you can just look it up and it's there.
Mine ain't common. It's Donnie, but the thing is I have to spell it because it's spelled D-O-N-I. So, but Ramon is easy, R-A-M-O-N, Tukes, T-O-O-K-E-S.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Ramon Tukes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about building generational wealth. See ya in a few minutes. Welcome back to Donnie Jones Live. I am certified arborist, Donnie the Tree Lady. And so if your tree falls, you better call me. If your tree falls, call 770-413-TREE. That's 770-413-TREE. But guess what? We ain't here to plug me. We're here to plug this man right here, Mr. Ramon Tukes. But you know what? If a tree falls on somebody's house and they need a new house, then
we need to call you.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it now. I love it. You know what? There is one of my friends, and I'll say this, has a tree service.
Oh,
and
okay.
She gets a lot of governmental contracts.
Okay.
Because she is minority.
That's right.
Woman owned. I mean, highways all out of town when there's a catastrophe somewhere.
Yeah.
She's deploying those trucks. So congratulations on that.
Thank
That's
you.
a lot.
Thank you.
It's an unlimited amount of money out
It
there.
really is.
When it rains.
It really is. Just one of the reasons
When it
I was
rains.
running behind schedule today. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But going back to generational wealth, once again, not just to inspire, not just to get people to take action for themselves, but to think about the next generation. How can people use real estate to build for the next generation? And why is that important?
So, one is, and I'll go back to being a traditional homeowner.
Right.
When we think about it, the properties everybody wants to get rich quick
Right.
overnight, right? The people that you truly understand that'll really have built true wealth, it took time. It took years. It took generations to truly build wealth.
That's right.
And so being a landlord or owning your own home, it takes 30 years to pay it off. Big Mama's house was worth 10 times as much more if you're from any inner city, and if Big Mama kept her house, whether it be Harlem, Atlanta, you look at how those values went up.
Yeah.
But if I can leave something to my children that is free and clear, that can generate income, it starts them somewhere better than where they were.
It's given that they're further down the road than they normally would be. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. I love it when they say, well, they could just pick themselves up from the bootstraps. Well, some of us don't even have boots,
Correct.
Or they'll say, look at him, he did it. Or look at you, you did it. But you've got to look at my experience. I had a dad that was an entrepreneur at a time when we had quite a few entrepreneurs on our street, but it was still the norm to go get that good federal government job, and there's a lot of people that had those government jobs that got laid off, whereas my dad growing up always told me, listen, don't you go work for somebody, you go build your own business, so that was kind of always in me. The flip side of that, though, is I do think there are people that have great jobs that should keep their great jobs.
And to fund that vision. Yeah,
to fund the vision, exactly. What would you say about that?
So, we get it all the time. I'm going to quit my job, right? They do a deal, they make a huge check, and I always say, listen, use your job to fund your dream.
Oh, that's so good.
You have to use it, because if you quit your job today, you make $100,000 on a deal. When you walk in a bank, you truly are not an investor yet.
That's
they don't
right.
look at 1 year, one deal.
Right.
You got some cash, but what happens if you spend it all? You can't pay for this property.
That's right.
So use those jobs. I mean, good job, bad job. At some point, you'll build a real estate portfolio. So if you want to quit,
then you can.
You can.
But and you also got to know what kind of mindset you are, what type of person you are. I'm going to repeat what he just said. Use your job to fund your dream. Use your job to fund your dream. And the reason why I say that's important, and why a lot of times for most people, not all, but for most people it's good for them to have a job, is because not everybody can do what we do. Meaning the stuff that happens. Yes. Like when everything went down, like even as an investor back when everything crashed, I didn't run and have to go get a job because I already had my other company, my tree service. And then even when I started my tree service, when things kind of went crazy with that or whatever, and you got people calling, wanting money and jobs that didn't get completed or whatever, all that stuff happens and you're sitting in the house going, what am I going to do to make this happen? Something wells up in you. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to shake this off and I'm going to keep going. I don't know how I'm going to make the mortgage. I don't know how I'm going to make payroll, but I don't care. I'm going to figure out. And you keep going and you get out there and something happens. There's a lot of people that get into that situation.
And freak out.
And they freak out.
All the way.
And that's what separates people sometimes. It's not that you can't be an entrepreneur. You have to know what kind of entrepreneur you are. Like, I'm the type of entrepreneur, you throw the spaghetti up against the wall and whatever sticks, boom, I'm going to roll with it. There's people that you throw the spaghetti up against the wall, something sticks or don't stick, they freaking out if not enough sticks. And so you just got to know who you are,
I agree. Like you said, everybody's not meant to be, and I'll say a full-time entrepreneur.
Full-time entrepreneur. I think everybody should be an entrepreneur at some point.
Yes.
Or always have your own hustle.
Correct.
Or your own side business. Because I like the word hustle, but then again, I don't like it because it doesn't give your small business the respect it deserves. People talking about they side hustle, but then they don't treat it like a business. If you do have a honest side hustle, I know I'm taking your time, but if you do have your honest side hustle, treat it just like you would a business. Get your business license, get your insurance, do your continued learning or whatever it is you need to do to make that business successful. Have you found that people do that? They get into their business, but they don't do the work that they need to do to make it a business?
Well, so part of being successful, and it doesn't mean something's not going to go wrong.
Right.
It's you got to do the work. And I think
Yes.
that's the part that scares everybody.
Yeah.
So it's the work.
Yeah.
That's the only word. Whether it be hard work, smart work. People always say, I'm not going to work hard. I'm going to work smarter. I really want to do both because I can get ahead a little bit faster.
Absolutely.
And so work is probably the biggest barrier to anything.
Well, tell us what work, because I like realistic examples. Like for me, work looks like I've got to make a certain amount of calls a day.
Mm-hmm.
This is for my tree service. And even for media, growing the show and everything, for my tree service, I have to make a certain amount of calls a day. I have to look at a certain amount of job sites a day. I have to do follow-up. I have to make sure the bills are paid. I have to have a budget. I have to work with an accountant. In your industry, for somebody getting started, what does the work look like so they can have a visual?
So, really you have to sit down with someone that can look at your entire picture, because it's 4 or 5 of us here, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody has a different scenario. Somebody may say, well, you know what, I work 12 hours a day, but I have some extra cash. So I can be a lender. I can be a private lender. I just want to make a return on my money. They don't want to go out and look at, they don't have the time. They can't get off, it's dark at 7 o'clock.
Right.
So if I work from 7 to 7, I'm tired. If I got kids, some people want to touch it, feel it. So that may be that person that runs the job site, but they may not have any money,
Right.
but they got the time.
Gotcha.
And so again, each person is different. And so it's hard to have that cookie cutter. You got to go from where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means, so daily, somebody may like the telephone.
Yeah.
That person that can sit on the telephone and make cold calls in our industry.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's like any other industry.
Yeah.
If you can do it, and I say if you can do it for 6 months straight, 8 hours a day, you will surpass 90% of the people in the business.
Wow.
I don't like it.
Did you ever do it though?
I still do it sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. Because we teach people how to do it. I have a group of people that do wholesaling, and some other parts of it.
Yeah.
So I'll sit down, and joke around and have a good time.
But you really don't have to. But on the flip side of that, you do have people that do it for you.
We do it together. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We partner up and do it. There's a ton of our competitors that build sales systems and sales teams. So it's a necessary back of the office.
Right.
You got to have it.
You got to have the back office.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm kind of harping on that a little bit is because I think somebody heard that you say that as a successful person, I don't have to do that anymore, meaning they don't have to do it. And no, you have to do it. If you're just starting, you have to do it so that you can get to a point where you don't have to do it. Like he doesn't have to do the cold calling and the follow-up and stuff like that. But he has people on his staff that does that, and that's what makes his business successful.
Right.
What are some other tidbits you can give people aside? Well, I think one of the best tidbits is coming to your event.
July 12th through 14th.
Yeah, let's talk. That's what we're here for. Talk about that event, man.
So, last in March, you never know who's going to be there. I'm going to tell you that, right? And in March, one of my idols came, and we joke about it. We say he was our mentor before he was our mentor.
Yeah.
And so Les Brown walked in.
What?
And spent about 45 minutes with us and just gave us everything. I don't know where he pulled it out.
I am a Les Brown.
Are you?
Oh my gosh, I love him.
Listen.
Yeah.
I think we cried in that room.
Oh, wow.
We did. It was 100 folks. We stop it at 100 seats because of the buses. We don't want more than 2 buses going through neighborhoods.
Right.
Each bus holds 50. And so, but just the energy that he brought, and we bring on other people, other motivational speakers.
Yeah.
But when I tell you he changed some lives that day. We had a 13-year-old girl that knew her mom registered, and apparently her mother had been listening to Les Brown for the past 5 or 6 years or whatever. And so she can quote him.
Yeah.
She loved him. She said, "Can I come?"
Wow.
So we let her come.
Absolutely.
I mean, we allow kids to come.
My 13-year, she's 12 now. She'll be 13 this month. But when she was 11, she went to one of those little, seminars, motivational seminars with me. And actually one of them was on books, because I also have a book out, y'all, From Failure to Fabulous. So check that out on Amazon. But I had my daughter there because I think these are things that she needs to know. And actually, a lot of kids that age, they want to be there. They want to know. I don't think it's too young to start learning those things,
Even if they only get a little bit and absorb it, and they remember.
That's right.
They remember. It can
remember.
change, their thought process, because we think our parents are old when we're 12 and 13, but when you get as an adult, you realize what was being instilled in you.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah. So at the boot camp, I'll say this: it's motivational.
Yeah.
They have fun.
Yeah.
They dance.
Yes.
I can't dance.
No.
There's a DJ, but for the most part.
Oh, wait a minute! You're not saying that because I said I went to the other event and it was full of stuff. Right?
No, I can't dance, but there's a DJ there.
Okay.
But for the most part, we give you're filled.
Yeah.
From Friday night, Friday afternoon to Sunday evening with information and the right tools and the right resources and the right people, so that when you leave, whether or not you want to go further along or whether or not you just want to go out on your own and do it, you have everything.
You will have what you need. We're going to talk a little bit more about that before we wrap things up. And we'll be back in a few minutes once more with Ramon Tukes. And I'm Donnie with Don's Tree Service, also known as Donnie the Tree Lady. We'll be right back in a few seconds. And we are back. I'm Donnie the Tree Lady with
Ramon Tukes.
See, I'm used to Marty doing that. He knows to pick that up. So radio's not your gig yet, right?
Not yet.
Hey, but podcasting and radio, that's a
so we do one every Wednesday night, and they still laugh at me. So I'll tell you a joke. There's been some TV producers and shows that have approached us over the past few years that will say, listen, we're going to interview you, but they want me to almost like jump out the cake and say, hi.
It's not your personality.
It's not my personality. No. So we had a show that went on Channel 5 and it just, I wasn't going to cut them. I couldn't do it for 30 minutes.
Right.
So it was like, no, we're not going to do it. They used our houses, though. They just didn't use me. Right. And I was fine with that. They paid us dearly for the houses.
That's awesome. But, that's another thing. I think you're talking about like casting your home type situation. A good friend of mine has a company called Cast My Home or something like that. Right. And she does really well with that. So there's so many different aspects of real estate that you can get into. At your seminar, are they going to talk about the different ways you can get into real estate? Or is it just specifically?
So it's not just fixing and flipping.
Okay.
And a lot of people look at it that way. But we'll talk about a little bit about buying and holding, a little bit about wholesaling. Not a lot. I mean, we really go through the process of how you take something, fix it, where you get the funding from, how partners look, who you should have on your team, all the way through closing.
Right. Do you give people realistic expectations? Because I will say this, going back in my memory to a couple of the events that I've been to, where I've seen people that are like, I'm going to get in here and be able to flip a house and I ain't got no credit. I ain't got bad credit. And I'm like, dude, you got to come with something. What is your advice for people like that? Because I do want people with no credit or with bad credit or with, questionable credit to know that they can overcome and become successful. But talk to me about how they.
So it's doable. You just need to know, again, when we sit down and talk, right? You just need to know, tell us the truth about where you are.
Right.
I don't care if you don't have the money. If you don't have the money, you may be a great electrician. Right. You may have the resource. It may be your wife. It may be your cousin. You may have a 401k that's been sitting at the job that you got fired from.
And don't even think about it. Right.
So there are ways to do it. And we realistically go through every step. We tell you good and bad. We tell you, our life story when the market crashed in 2007, right? I lost about $12 million. So I had to figure out how to figure it out.
Right.
It's 5 of them. So they don't understand.
Oh, see, I got 2. I'm good.
They don't even understand, that kind of stuff, right? But we do go through and we show good jobs, bad jobs. We show I talked about a property that should have taken 6 months and it took 18 months to finish and get it sold. Yeah. And so we give it to you. You get the real side of it.
And when is that event again?
July 12th through 14th.
And how much is it?
It's $397.
Okay, and it looks like you've got some.
I got some. I brought for you.
Oh, thank you. Y'all can't have my stuff. I'm sorry. But no, I think it's important what you're doing. And I want to go back to generational wealth. Why is that concept so important for you? You've obviously already done it in your life, and you're teaching others to do it. But there's a reason why you do that. So,
for me, I want and I always say my great grandchildren to start somewhere better than where we started. We didn't know we started bad. We when we look back, it was kind of rough.
I do.
Right? I mean, we had some great people around us. Whether it was living in the housing projects, living in town was bad. But if everybody was living there, you didn't know it was bad, pretty much. But I want them to be able to start off and not give them something, but to give them. When I say not give it, because sometimes you give a kid something and they take it and you give them a couple $1 million, they go buy a Ferrari, right?
Right, absolutely.
It's not going to be given to them that way.
My baby already asked for a Tesla. She didn't ask for a Ferrari, but she asked for a Tesla.
No.
You want the Ferrari, don't you?
Oh, no. She not even think about that one. But you want them to be able to, as opposed to, being frustrated by having this dream and not even imagining I can get there. Right. At least there's a system in place where my grandmother, my mother can help me get to that point. Absolutely. Right? But you got to go through a process. You got to do all the research and have business plans in place. Right. I just want my generation, my family, and to teach other people how to make sure that their families have that opportunity.
Absolutely. And the other thing why I think it's so important to build wealth is not, it isn't just them having stuff, it's giving them the ability to dream. Yes. Because if they can see it up here, whatever it is, they can, and they can work for it, they can achieve it. But if they don't even know what's out there, and you're busy trying to just pay the bills and make it to the next day, and you're not giving your kids the opportunity to dream because you're not even dreaming.
And they deserve it. And they deserve it. And we deserve it. And we deserve
Absolutely.
it. We deserve it. So, but that is number one. And then, if we are, when I say wealthy, right, we can help other people, which is the feeling of it, and not to show it off, but to be able to go out and take care of somebody else and to get somebody to another level. That's right. That's a good feeling.
That I can tell. Yeah, see, you ain't got to be all showy. What you just did right there, that's where it's at. That's the sweet spot right there. The joy that I see in you about what you do. That's amazing every day, and you're doing it. What's something you would like to leave people with, as far as your business is concerned and your workshops? Because I want you guys to sign up for this workshop because I think it can be life altering. It can be life changing. It is life changing. It is. And even I tell you, some of the biggest factors are the people that are attending. We've seen people that attend get together in groups later on and do things together. And so you never know who's sitting next to you and who has that same story. He's sitting next to Les Brown. No,
well, I don't know if he's coming back now. He's not inexpensive. He is Les Brown. But he is one of the greatest. But we've had, you can only imagine some of the motivational speakers that and we want to start the morning off with them. They start off with them, and then, sometimes they hang out with us, sometimes they have to go to the next gig. Right. But to leave you guys with something, we started last year for my birthday, University of Wealth Building, which is an online platform. That's where we were going. And it is where and it's being built as we speak. Every day we're uploading videos, but people all around the country. So if there's somebody in Minnesota that in your mind, I want to meet them, right? Yeah. My team just reaches out and asks them to do an instructional video, and they don't mind placing it on our site because of the following that we have. And so that's a whole nother level of what we do. Our relationships are amazing. And so those people understand that because of who we are and they are, we can really make the world a better place and help people build wealth through whatever it is. Right.
Well, and that's another thing. You might go to this and find out there's something else that you're passionate about and have the energy to go do that, because I love what I do. I love the tree care industry. I also like real estate, but I found out that through network marketing. I did network marketing, became successful at that, and then I also woke up one day and was like, okay, this ain't what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then also the company that I was working with, they had some issues with the FTC, and that ain't good. So I was like, no, I need something I have a little bit more control over my destiny. But being in that experience, having that experience and being around all these different types of people helped me to understand what it is I did want to do.
Exposure.
So that's, once again, exposure. Giving myself the ability to dream. And that's what we want to do for people, is give people the ability.
So I know we don't have a lot of time, but one thing that we offer for Flipology is we will get 10 kids, and I say kids, so 14 if they can sit still to 20, 21, right? Yeah. And we give them a ticket. Wow. We make parents agree that they're going to bring them. That's been another struggle, right? Yeah. But because
I got two of them. I'll take 2 tickets right now.
You can bring them as long as you make. So 2 things. we do whoop people kids. I know I'm from the South.
We don't do that. We just did a show about that 5 weeks ago. We do not whoop.
We don't whoop.
I talk to them.
You do?
I talk, yeah. But anyway, that's we gotta
I mean, look at her. You see how
she's amazing.
She doesn't move. She understands. No, I'm just playing.
See, mine will still be moving, but I'd be like, "Do you want to?" I'm talk to you if you keep it up, and then she'll be like,
"No."
Okay,
but we as parents, because we want to expose as many kids to this business and all the other parts of it. So lending, it's a lot of kids don't understand that the lending business is really just you're talking to people. You're a broker.
Yeah.
You're not lending your money.
Right.
You're working for somebody and you're giving them the funding. Construction is so many different parts of construction, learning a trade, whether it be, framing, heating, and electrical. It's so many different ways that you can go make some money.
Right.
Right. And so that's the exposure that we give during that weekend. And everybody talks to them differently. We take them in the huddles. We do things differently with the kids than we do with so they actually get more out of it than most adults get out of it.
Okay, well then, can I go to the kids section? No, I can't go to the kids section. Before we wrap up, how did you come up with the name Flipology? Because I love that.
So Jay Stone
speaks to me.
Jay Stone is a branding expert, and she was really tough on us. And so we're always being creative. And we just sit down and brainstormed, and we just came up with it one weekend.
Okay, because I think it's very cool. It's memorable.
It is.
Flipology. And that is actually the name of your organization, or is it just the name of the
it's the name of the boot camp and the book
camp.
and our real estate series. So University of Wealth Building is the name of the organization.
Right.
And we formed it after Flipology.
Yes.
But it encompasses Flipology in the real estate department. We have other departments that when you see it, it's just amazing. It's
Awesome.
still amazing to me.
Well, what's next for Mr. Ramon Tukes?
Continue working, growing. We're doing different markets right now. Last year we went on tour in 27 cities and did a collaboration tour where we did the same thing that Flipology in different cities.
Okay.
So continue to grow and just building more wealth.
I love it. Well, you guys, if you want to build wealth, I want you guys to reach out to this man or reach out to his team. You can find him online at Ramon Tukes anywhere. In Instagram, where
Facebook, Twitter, just wherever you look.
Just Google Ramon Tukes and you're going to find him. And the name of your organization is the University of Wealth Building. University of Wealth Building. Man, I love that. I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I believe in what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And I just want you to continue to be blessed in what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Well, you guys, you've been listening to Donnie Jones Live. I am Donnie the Tree Lady, and we'll be back next week with another exciting guest. And thank you so much for joining us.